Hi everyone, it's Leah Koss with the Mortgage Center. I've tried to do this blog so many times now, but my dogs keep invading, so I'll apologize ahead of time. I'm going to try and make it through. I'm going to talk about appraisals because I always get so much pushback when I tell somebody that they're going to need an appraisal. Now, usually, if you tell me all the details of your situation before you even find the house that you're going to make an offer on, I can tell you the likelihood of whether you'll need an appraisal or not, okay? Because there's very specific situations to that. But let's go through that so that you have those expectations and you will know if you're going to have to get an appraisal ahead of time, because knowing that information is going to save you money and make things a lot less stressful for you. So if you're putting less than 20% down, chances are you are not going to need an appraisal, but there are some situations where you will, like if the property is super unique or it's in a very isolated area where lenders just don't know what value to put on these homes. They don't know if you're paying too much, too little. They have no idea because it's a unique property, and in those situations they may want an appraisal done. So less than 20% down, those are typically the only reasons that you'll need an appraisal done. The other times is if you're buying like a rental property, then you might not need an appraisal of the property, but you're going to need what's called a market rent letter, which is done by an appraiser. And that's simply a letter that's going to tell the lender how much rent you can get for the suites of your rental property that you're purchasing, okay? But if you're buying a rental property, you actually can't buy a house with less than 20% down these days, so it would have to be a house with a basement suite. But that aside, so in situations other than that, though, if you're putting 20% down, I'd say there's like an 80% chance you're going to need an appraisal. There's really only two situations where you're not going to need an appraisal. So if you're very concerned about, you know, I don't want to put out money without needing to and things like that, go to a mortgage broker. They can tell you, or come to me. Don't go to all the other mortgage brokers, come to me. But I can tell you your options on, you can either pay an appraisal and pay this interest rate, or you don't have to pay an appraisal and here's this interest rate, and I can kind of lay it out for you. But here's where you won't have to pay for an appraisal. Every other situation you will. If you're putting 20% down and you go with what's called a bulk insurer, then you won't typically have to get an appraisal. Now, what is a bulk insurer? A bulk insurer is someone where even if you put 99% down payment down on a home, it doesn't matter. They insure every single deal. If you're wondering what this insuring is, check out mortgage insurance and my other video blogs. But because it's insured, now they're not quite so shaky about the deal and the value and stuff because it's insured. If you default on the mortgage, their money is more secured now. So because of that, they don't necessarily require an appraisal. The second way is some lenders, and I stress some lenders, have an online appraisal system. Some call it GVS. There's all different abbreviations, and every bank has their own kind of system. And what this does is if your house is very standard, I mean very standard, like a typical regular old house, then you can request no appraisal. Typically only a mortgage broker can do this though, but we can request no appraisal, and they simply put it into their online appraisal system. If the numbers come out good and normal, then things are fine. If it's a unique property once again, or the numbers come out a little off, whether it be too high or too low, then they'll request an appraisal regardless. But you can always try that first, and that can save you some money. Now, you know, appraisals range from $250 to $1,000, just depending on how quickly you need it done and how big the property is. Is there a lot of outbuildings? Is it acreage? Or is it just a 1,000 square foot condo? Chances are the 1,000 square foot condo is going to cost you about $250 plus taxes, so you're looking around $280. Okay? And it can save you that money up front. But here's a situation where that might not be worthwhile for you. I had a client who wanted the very best variable rate he could get. The problem was that the person, or rather the lender, who was offering the best variable rate that nobody else was really matching, they don't offer the online appraisal services. So because of that, he has to get an appraisal. Or he can go with a bank that's going to allow him to do the online appraisal system, which won't cost much, or it'll cost maybe $50, and it's super easy, hassle-free, but they don't have the best variable rate. So now over the course of his 5-year term, he's going to be paying more. What's better? Well, you know, obviously the better rate would be a better situation, but some people just really hate upfront hassle and upfront costs. So it's totally up to you, and I can lay out those options for you. But there's the situations where you may not need to get an appraisal if you're putting at least 20% down. The situations where you will need to is every other situation, and most importantly, if it's a private lending deal. Private lenders will mandate 100% of the time to get an appraisal. But here's the clincher. If you are in a situation where you have to get an appraisal, do not, for the love of God, do not order the appraisal on your own. The reason being is every lender has their own list of approved appraisers. If you go out and get an appraisal done and fork out the money and the time and the hassle to get an appraisal and give it to your lender, the lender could very easily and quite possibly say, I'm sorry, but we do not approve those appraisers. They're not on our list. You need to get another one. You don't want to be in that situation. So another great reason for using a mortgage broker is we can tell you what appraisers are on what list, and we can even order it for you to alleviate some hassle for you. Okay, so if you have any questions about appraisals, whether you need one, whether you don't, how much it's going to cost, all that kind of jazzola, let me know. Leah Cost with the Mortgage Center. I am a Canadian mortgage broker. I cannot help you people in the U.S. I'm sorry. But if you have any questions about this or any other mortgage topics, please let me know. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my videos, and call or email me with any other questions. So that's all for now. I will talk to you soon.